Hello and welcome to this video tutorial. Today we're looking at creating pyramid or triangle charts in Microsoft Excel, and we're going to do it two ways. We're going to do it first as SmartArt, and then we're going to look and see how we could do it actually as a dynamic chart. So I've started by entering my data here just so that it's clear what we're doing. And for SmartArt, I'm going to put the top item, the one at the top of the pyramid or top of the triangle, at the top. For the chart, it actually goes the other way around. It's at the bottom. But this is the SmartArt option. So I'm going to start by choosing Insert and then SmartArt. I'm going here to Pyramid. I'm going to choose this SmartArt object and click OK. Now, because my data is in my worksheet, I can simply copy it. I'm going to select it and click Copy. Coming down here to select my SmartArt, this is a little flyout that hides and makes visible this text box. I'm going to click in here and right click and just choose Paste. Now I've got the other two options that were already in there, the blank text one, so I'm just removing them. To recolor my SmartArt object, I'm just going to select on the various pieces, right click and choose the fill option. So I'm going to start by coloring from red all the way through the color fill options here, all the way down my SmartArt object. This will give us a really good comparison between the option that is created using SmartArt and the one we're going to create using the chart options in Microsoft Excel, which is a little bit different and really quite interesting how that all works out. Now this particular chart is pretty good if you want everything to be even. If you want things to be slightly different in size, then you're going to need to click on the option, and for example, if we wanted to make substitution a little bit bigger, I would just drag up, and when I let go, you'll see that everything else is sized appropriately. But it doesn't allow you to get exact values for these changes, so if you wanted things to be a different height because they're of the value that they were, then it's going to be a little bit less accurate with a SmartArt object. But let's just move that over to one side. If you want a white background to this, you're just going to right click on it and choose Format Object. And then there is a solid fill option here, and we're just going to add a white background, or you could choose whatever background color you wanted. So that just lets you lift it off the page if you like. So there's the SmartArt option. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the chart one, because this is really interesting. For the chart option, we're going to put the item that's at the top of the triangle at the bottom of our data. And I've just used 100 here. It doesn't really matter what numbers you use, but this is going to give us some control over the height of these objects. So this is a sort of relative value. Right now, they're all going to be the same amount. But if, for example, you change substitution to 125, then it's going to be 25% taller than all the other options. So this gives you a way of controlling the actual height here. So you're going to select over all your data, remembering that the one at the top of the triangle is at the bottom of your data. We're going to insert and then charts. Over here we're going to select a 3D stacked column. So this is a 3D 100% stacked column, and this makes no sense at all. You're sitting here going, I want a pyramid chart, and you're giving me 3D stacked column. Well, all is going to be revealed. So once you've got your data into a chart, up here on the Chart Design tab, you're just going to click once on Switch Row Column, and that stacks these objects up. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the grid lines and this axis. So click on this plus sign here and remove the axis and the grid lines, and add data labels, because we're going to need those in a minute. The next thing we're going to do is to turn this chart into a pyramid chart. So I'm just going to right click on one of these options here and go to Format Data Series. Because when you do that, you'll see that you've got options for the column shape, and we're going to choose Full Pyramid. So you can see that we're starting to see the pyramid coming through. Now gap depth is going to control the height here. So I want to control it so that I've got the largest possible pyramid within the box that the chart is in. And gap width is going to change how big this chart actually is. So if I roll it over here, you can see it's much wider, and this way it's much narrower. And we're concerned with the front face of this right now, because that's the bit that we're actually going to be using. The next thing we have to do is to make this a flat face object. So we're going to, again, just select one of these series, it doesn't matter which one, right click and choose 3D rotation. So at the moment it's rotated 20 degrees in the X direction and 15 degrees in the Y direction. We want it face on, so that means we're going to turn the X rotation and the Y rotation into 0 in both settings. So I'm just going to make both of those 0, and you can see that the chart is now looking more like the one over here. To add our data into these boxes, we're just going to click on this one here, and we're going across here to data labels, and let's choose more options, and that gets us to the format data labels dialog. What you're going to do here is click on series name. Now we're going to have to do this for each of the bars in this chart because these are all different series, and I suggest that you select series name before you disable value. It just works a little bit better that way. I always make sure that I add in the one that I want before I get rid of everything to avoid disaster. If I click on this one immediately, then you'll see that the dialog doesn't close, and I can just very quickly change these options. And then for the actual colors, we can select on the series and go back to the little bucket here, the paint bucket tool, and I'm just going to select my color so I can match this up pretty much with the colors in use over here. Now, there is a really interesting behavior here in Microsoft Excel, and that relates to these colors, and you'll see that the colors are not identical between these two charts, and it would be even more different if we were to make a chart that was upside down. I am not 100% sure why Excel is doing this, but just be aware that the colors can change from one chart to the other depending on the type of chart that you actually have used. Now, if you want your chart to be upside down, this particular chart, you can make it upside down. To turn it upside down, we're going to start over here and we're going to show our axes again because this is the axis we need to change. You're going to right click on that and choose Format Axis. And in the axis options here under this particular panel, you'll see that there's an option for values in reverse order. And when I click on this, watch what happens to the colors in the chart. As you see here, the colors are just changing completely. They're losing all of their brightness. I don't quite understand what's happening here, but it does happen every single time. If I turn off values in reverse order, then the chart goes back to the native colors. But if we want our chart upside down, we can get it to be upside down with the data that was in the point now at the bottom of the chart, but just be aware that the colors are going to change. Even if I select on this and go to the color option, you'll see that I've actually chosen the exact same color. This is the same color in use here as is in use over here, but Excel is rendering them very differently. Of course, once we've got our chart upside down, if that's what you want it to look like, then you're just going to turn your axes off again because you don't need that. And there is your chart ready for you to add a chart title. Now, as I said before, this one is a little bit more controllable because if you want one of these bars to be wider or narrower than the others, that is possible. So I'm going to take substitution here up to 150. So when I increase that value, you can see all of these others are the same height as they were, but substitution is now another 50% bigger than the others. So this is a little bit more of a dynamic option. The SmartArt option is less dynamic, but it is certainly an option depending on the results that you want, the way you want your chart to look. If you like carefully researched content like this, clearly presented in a step-by-step format so that you can get great results every time, then you'll love my other YouTube videos. So give this video a thumbs up and click to subscribe to the channel. And on the screen now, you'll see a video that I've handpicked for you to watch next.